That's that mushroom coffee. I'm not sure if I'm on board with it yet. It's better than that mud stuff. People are selling some drink called mud. Oh, it tastes like mud. It's horrible. How are you? In case you've just tuned, in case you've just tuned into this, and the first time you're seeing my face, I'm Briggs. I'm that voice you hear on this channel all the time. Dispel your first thing is, yeah, I'm not. I get this all the time. I'm not in my 20s. Most people, for some reason, think I'm in my 20s. I'm actually in my 50s, and been doing this about 6 years. So I thought we'd have a conversation while I drink some mushroom coffee. Yeah, I don't know. So I thought I'd talk to you guys about what is going on in the world and what's going on with this channel and what I've learned on YouTube and how I've helped people find their America. And that's the way I see it. I'm helping people find their America. America is different to everyone. Doesn't matter what you do, doesn't matter how you see things, doesn't matter who you vote for. Your America is different from somebody else's. It's a place, yeah, but it's also it's an idea, just like democracy is an idea. Living in America, being an American, and how you live your life here is an idea, and everyone's is different. So that's what I do on this channel, is I help people find their America. At least that's what I want to do. There's a road right up here, so you might hear some. Probably about a mile from my house is a quarry, and in the mornings, big trucks drive down about, I don't know, 3 houses down from me. So that's my America. I live near a quarry in Oregon. So I get emails all the time asking me how I got started, if I'd help them, and all this other stuff. And I've told the story many times before. I was basically watching a couple different things on YouTube and not really thinking you could ever make money. It was just something I'd watch, people getting tased. For some reason, I was obsessed with people getting tased, cat videos and stuff like that. And then I picked up a magazine one time that said YouTuber makes $14 million in 1 year. Now, that blew me away because I didn't think you could make money on YouTube. Never even entered my mind that people were making money on YouTube, and they were. And that YouTuber was PewDiePie. He's one of the biggest people on there. I think he's like number 2 or 3 right now on the thing, and he's been like the king of YouTube forever till Mr. Beast unseated him. But anyway, that's a whole different story in itself. But so I started getting into YouTube because it was a money situation. I was working at Nike, not really particularly liking what I was doing. It was a good paying job. Nike's a great company to work for. It just wasn't my thing. I was a stand-up comedian for years in Los Angeles, and wanted to get that creativeness out in a way. But I also wanted to make money at it, and that was kind of my thing with comedy. I always wanted to make money, never made much. I like to think I was a good comic, but, I didn't have the flexibility to be going on the road for, 6 months, a year, and stuff like that, which a lot of comedy professionals do, comics. And they go out and they're on the road for 3 weeks every single month. They come home for a week and they're gone for another 3 weeks doing tours. I have wife, kids. I just couldn't do all that. I stayed mostly in LA and occasionally did things around the country. And when I did go out to do shows around the country, I always went and visited small towns. I was obsessed with it. Back when I was in the Army, I'd have a weekend off, I'd go drive to some small town and check it out, go to a diner, talk to the people, never thinking I would do anything like YouTube with all that knowledge. It was just something that interested me. I was experiencing other people's America, and that was better than any book, any movie, anything I've ever seen or done. That's the most interesting thing. Everyone has a story, and I liked hearing about them. So when I started this YouTube channel, it was strictly because I wanted to get money going, and I tried a couple different things. I tried gaming because that's what PewDiePie did, and when you don't know anything about it, you try and mimic someone like that. That's successful, and he was definitely successful. So I tried gaming, then I tried vlogging because at the time Casey Neistat was the biggest thing, and he was just this massive star, and I was like, I want to do that because this is what got me on him. At the time, I was making money, but I had bills and just like everyone else. And, you know, I couldn't afford to go out and buy a $7,000 camera. I couldn't go out and buy a new drone every week. And it's like I wanted a camera. It was like a Panasonic or something like that, a little vlogging camera. It was only like $600, but it's like, you know, I could have probably put it on my credit card, but I don't like doing that. So I waited like till my next paycheck and bought this $600 camera. But I wanted to be in the position, because one time I saw Casey Neistat, he lost his drone, or it broke. I think it went in the river. I forget what it was. But he just went down to B&H Photo, picked up another one, and went back and started, not a worry in the world. You know, $700 drone. Just went and bought a new one. And I thought to myself, I want to get to that point where it doesn't bother me just to go buy new equipment. I've been at that spot for a couple of years now. The other day I was looking at one of my storage rooms, my storage closets in one of my rooms that I work in, and I found a drone I forgot I had bought like a year ago. So it hit me. I'm at that point, which is great. I mean, it's little goals. I like to short-term achievements. That's what I'm into. You know, I don't think the grand scale. I just like to do little tiny achievements all the time. And that was one of my achievements, and I reached that. It was pretty cool. But so for the longest time, I was working at Nike, the night shift, and this really weird thing where you worked like 3 days one week, and then the next day, or then the next week you worked 4 days, something like that. It was like 12-hour shifts. It was in manufacturing. I won't tell you what we did. They don't like you to talk about what you did there. And even though I have no, you know, NDA, or I've been gone from the company for at least 7 years now, I think I can talk about whatever, but they don't like you to, so I'll just honor that. I had something to do with the high-end shoes. That's all I'll say. So I was working at Nike, and I was doing YouTube videos, and one day I put up a video that I was actually made as a joke for a friend who was moving to Las Vegas from Los Angeles. And it was top 10 reasons not to move to top 10 reasons why you shouldn't move to Las Vegas. And it was a joke, and I just put it up on Facebook. Well, I'd been doing, you know, gaming videos and vlogging videos, and it was going nowhere. I was maybe getting 100 views a week on a video. I mean, by the end of the month, if I had 120 views on a video, I was over the moon. So I decided, since I didn't have a video and we were just taking off I'd planned on doing it like Friday and putting it up Saturday morning, something like that. And I just decided I'm going to put that Las Vegas one up there. Now, the Las Vegas one, I never did any research on it. It was just old stereotypical things you heard about Las Vegas growing up. You know, as in Los Angeles, you knew about Las Vegas. You know, everyone there's a drunk, everyone there's gambling. There's, you know, prostitutes everywhere, and just, you know, all those stereotypical things you know about Vegas, which half of them aren't true. So I just decided to throw that video up. It blew my channel up. It took off. I left my house. I uploaded it, putted around the house for probably 20 minutes, and drove up to Seattle from Portland with my wife, which is a couple hours. I think it was 3 hours because we stopped someplace or something. Anyway, we get to the hotel, and I happened to pull out my phone to see where my, you know, it got any views whatsoever. I was expecting to see like 20 views or something like that. Video had like 4,000 views. When you've been lucky, if you can get like, there's a pig. I own a pig, and she's sitting here trying to figure out what I'm doing right now. Anyway, so here's a picture of my pig. I'll put it right here. Anyway, so I was getting thousands of views in a matter of a couple hours. And that video continued to get more and more views. It didn't just level out at like, you know, a couple thousand every 3 hours. It started getting 4,000 in an hour, 5,000 in an hour, and it just kept going and going. And I think by the end of the month, that video had like 750,000. I remember it was just under a million. It might have been like 800,000 to 900,000, somewhere in there. But it blew my channel up, and it was a BS video. No research, nothing. Now, I knew about Vegas, and I've been there many, many times before, but like I said, it was just all stereotypes and things like that. So that got me on the road to getting the 1,000 subscribers I need and stuff. Like, I think at the time, the subscribers I had were friends and family type thing. You know, you ask everyone to subscribe to your channel. So I probably had like 200-300 subscribers. I asked everyone I worked with, and, you know, I have a lot of friends. I keep friends. I make friends. I keep them. I communicate with whoever I can, whenever I can. And that's something I've always prided myself on. So I had a lot of friends that were willing to subscribe and watch my lame videos for for about a year and a half before that video hit. That video hit pushed me over. That Las Vegas video pushed me over the edge to get me the 1,000 subscribers I need at the time, and it got me the 4,000 views I needed in a year, which I don't think that was actually a problem at the time, because I think it was only 1,000 subscribers. I don't think they added the hours yet. But anyway, either way, it got me the 1,000 subscribers, which I'm sure if the 4,000 hours of viewing time was part of it, pushed me over that too. So within a month, I was monetized. They took me about 3 weeks to go through the whole process. You know, they okay and everything, put my bank account down, my tax numbers, and I was off to the races. And I think the first month, because that first batch of views from the Las Vegas video, they weren't monetized, so I didn't get any money from that. But the subsequent videos I started posting once a week at the time, new video. That's all I could do at the time. It was just me in my garage on a rented house we were at. That's where it started, then the first house we had, and then this one. Anyway, so it was just me in the garage on Saturdays making these videos. So it was once a week. And all of a sudden I started making money. It was like $250 was my first check. And then I had another video hit. I forget what it was. And so it's like my second check was like $2,000. And it's once a month. And it just kept growing and growing. And I would say within about 6 to 9 months after that Las Vegas video, I finally told my wife, I'm like, look, I'm making more doing this every month than I'm making at Nike. Maybe we need to put some more effort into it. And of course, you know, we got bills. We got kids at the time that were in high school. I think one had just taken off to the Army at the time. And, you know, so it's a little scary when you do that. I'm going to quit working and just do this. And I did. Luckily, at the time, there was other reasons that, you know, helped me with this decision. My mother-in-law was really sick and needed help all the time. My wife had a really good job at Kaiser, which was our health insurance and all that, so she had to work. We could, you know, take the risk with mine. So I quit Nike, and I helped with my mother-in-law before she passed away 2 years later. And then at the time, my daughter had a baby. So I was working on YouTube, but I was also helping my mother-in-law and helping my daughter with the baby. So it was perfect timing. And it continued to grow. It continued to grow at a pretty good pace. 2018, my son got out of the Army, and he started editing my videos. And that's when we decided to go up to making 2 videos a month, or 2 videos a week. And yeah, the channel jumped again. And so we thought, well, why don't we put more effort into this and start making 3 a week? And we did, and it jumped again. It kept jumping. And it was amazing. It was a wild, wild ride. I just couldn't believe it that I was making these videos and people were watching them and enjoying them. And I was getting emails. I was getting, you know, comments. People were hitting me up on Facebook. Then I did a live stream, and there was 150 people on there, which I couldn't believe. By the way, I like to talk to you when I'm doing a live stream, and 150 seems to be the magic number. When we start getting up around 200 and 300 people on the live stream, it gets to be too much. That's why I make it for subscribers only, and I, you know, don't give you much warning because I don't want a big audience. So I just spring it up. It's there, boom, and I get to hang out with you guys and talk and answer questions, which is what I want to do. I want to help you find your America, and those are the questions I like to answer. If you start asking me about politics, I ignore you. But that being said, you learn things about YouTube, and you learn things about everything you do, actually. And one thing I learned about YouTube was that when people leave comments, it helps your channel. Later on, I find out there's a stat called, or a thing, part of the algorithm, called engagement. Who interacted with your video? How many people left comments? How many people left likes and dislikes? By the way, dislikes are the same as a like. Doesn't matter. It's It's just showing that someone got something out of that video, whether they loved it or they were irritated with something I said. And started using that not against, I started using that to my benefit. I made a mistake one time when I made a Portland video, and you get so used to your spell check on your computer that sometimes you misspell words because you're not used to spelling things. I misspelt the word political in the graphic because my editing software didn't have a spell check. So I was like, oh my God. Well, the amount of comments I got from that video was insane. And everyone wanted to tell me I misspelled political. And it occurred to me, that video is doing good because I have like 10 times the amount of comments I have on that video than I normally would have. Then I figured out if I mispronounce words or I don't try as hard to pronounce words properly, people leave comments. If you make a mistake, I mean, I don't make mistakes on stats, not meaning I haven't blown it occasionally, but I've never purposely put in a bad stat. I'll mispronounce something. One thing I like to do is say something is about an hour away from something when it's 30 minutes. People can't stand that. If they're local and I say to India, I don't know the distance and I don't know the hours, but I'm sorry, my nose is itching. But I'll tell people that Indianapolis to Terre Haute, Indiana is a 4-hour drive. And people freak out. No, you could make it there in 3 hours. Da, 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 da. That is one of my favorites. But so that's another thing I learned about YouTube. And YouTube is a learning experience. Nobody starts off knowing everything. And it switches so much that you'll never know everything. There's no way. I mean, right now I'm dealing with AI people. People are putting out videos similar to mine using AI. Now, I edit properly. We actually sit down and edit and figure out what's going on. I write a script. I record that script. Where these people are using just AI that will make them a script. They take that script, they put it into an AI voice, and then they record it. And then they have another program that edits it for them. Now, there's these people called YouTube gurus that give you advice and stuff like that. Now, there's decent YouTube gurus. I don't know if they call themselves gurus. There's Daryl Eves. There's Roberto Blake. There's Film Booth. There's a whole bunch. Tim Schmoyer, I don't even know if he makes videos, but in the early days, he was one I went to. He's a good resource. And those people helped me learn about YouTube. Well, now there's these new ones that try and teach you how to game the system, where they're telling people, you could do a faceless video. These are total shysters, and they're totally, full of crap. They tell you, this channel's making this much money, so if you do this, this, this with AI, you could be making as much money. They don't realize it took me about 3 years to get to a really good place at YouTube. Not at YouTube, but in the YouTube world where I was making good money. They don't tell those people that. They just tell them, throw up garbage, throw up garbage. Well, what happens is, you go back to the metrics and the algorithm, they're putting up these videos, and they might get a little burst in the beginning because they got a fancy thumbnail, and it seems interesting. But most people, once they find out you're using the AI voice thing right now, they turn off the video after a minute or two. And so you have a really low viewing length. People are only watching a minute of your videos. I'll give you an example. I think my average on a 15-minute video is 9 minutes. That's the average viewer watched it for 9 minutes. And that's actually a pretty good number. Some people are, usually around 50%. I usually hover around 60, 70%, 65, 70%. That's usually how much they view of my videos. Those channels get like 1 or 2 minutes. Well, then eventually the YouTube quits pushing them. And so it's just, they're selling you snake oil. So these people think they're going to do what I do. Now, some of them that have been dedicated to it and they've adapted and they've gotten better, they've done it. But right now there's probably about easily 60 channels trying to mimic my channel. And I think 3 of them right now are doing okay and still going after about 6 months. Just how it is. Now, one thing I don't like what they do is they basically take my audio and they run it through an AI voice, and then they throw up a video. They give it some new pictures. They think that's okay. What a lot of them don't realize is that is a copyright strike. Their channel will get taken down for it. one thing I do, I used to be a stand-up comedian. Whenever I write a script, I send it off to the copyright office. All my stuff is copywritten. And I always have jokes in my videos. So if they, even using the AI voice, use my joke in one of their videos, it can be taken down and they could actually be sued. I'm not going to sue anyone unless they're, habitually using my stuff. I don't think I still would. I'd probably just have them shut down. But, I copyright everything, and that's just a new wrinkle they're not expecting. I've had quite a few people go, well, dude, I did this. You used my joke. Sorry. And then they got to take down the video. Which, I mean, I'm an old comedian, and you don't do that. You don't use people's stuff. I know there's a new thing with all this AI where everyone seems to think it's perfectly okay. I don't think it's okay. You got all these people over at TikTok, and they just, you watch, let's say, I like to watch those guys that, they go out and First Amendment audit people. I watch those occasionally. Well, I'll see one of them do it, like one of the big ones, like Long Island Audit, but then there's 20 other channels that upload clips of his video. So you're just seeing the same crap, and it's all the same garbage. Well, I don't want to see YouTube get like that, and I don't want my stuff that I've made to be involved in it. So, but my point is, there's a new wrinkle to YouTube every single month that you have to adapt to. You need to know the basics, keep getting better, and keep uploading. Those are the two most important things. Keep getting better and keep uploading. That is it. Be consistent. I should say, keep uploading consistently and make each video a little bit better if you can. I'm not saying every single one of my videos has gotten, better than the last one. I've taken a step back a couple times, and that's because you're trying new things. And you try new things, friggin' Harley. You try new things and it doesn't work out. What are you going to do? You just got to keep trying. So if you're watching videos of someone, you'll see that they'll make changes here or there. And sometimes those changes don't work. And then they go back to the drawing board and tried something else. And you have to be adaptable in YouTube. The AI stuff is making adaptable a little different these days. I mean, I'm not going to adapt to AI and start using AI voice. I mean, my main talent, which I've done voiceover stuff for years, is my voice. I talk. I'm not going to use AI for that. Anyway, so I learned how to do YouTube, and things are going pretty good. And I finally fell into the niche of making listicles. In case you don't know, a list is a list, but if you're giving explanations, they call it a listicle, article list, listicle. So as time went on, my listicles, they just kind of touched a nerve with people. And again, with the adaptable thing, in the early days, if I did a negative video, top 10 most dangerous cities, worst neighborhoods, the worst ghettos, or anything like that, it was a guaranteed hit. My negative videos would get, let's say, 100,000 views in a month. A positive video would be lucky if it got 40,000. And that's how it used to be. My audience, you guys, have matured. You don't want to see that anymore. I have an older than average audience, and they want to see where to live, what about my retirement, things like that. Now, I still try and make it as entertaining as I can. I still try and teach you about places that I find fascinating, but I also want to give you your statistics that you need if you're making a decision to move someplace. And that's the whole idea of this channel. And I try and give you every different angle because I want to make more content. And I want you to have all the information. I want you to be entertained. I want you to have a little information. I want you to relax. I want you to find your America. And that's the best thing about this channel, helping people find their America. I've had people meet me on the street, and one guy was at the gas station about a year and a half ago. He's all, I moved to this area because you said it was great. And I'm all, what do you think so far? He's all, it's great. Ran into a lady in New York City just when I was there not too long ago. She goes, I used to watch your videos all the time when I was thinking about moving. And I said, how'd it work out? She goes, well, don't live in the city anymore. And she moved to, she was going to go to Honesdale, Pennsylvania, which is like 2 hours from New York City where she worked, but she found a place about midway between, I forget where she said it was, but she said that helped. She never thought Pennsylvania. She thought New York or New Jersey. Got to live in one of those places. Now she's about an hour away in Pennsylvania. So people constantly email me. They watch my videos, but then they want more information about places. And And they always want me to sit down and talk with them about finding a place to live, that suits them. The reality, you can make any place work. It's just, if you watch the videos enough, you know that, let's say if you got kids, this city's got really good schools, I should move there. That's important. What are the neighborhoods like? Do you have to worry if you're going to take your kid to the park? Is there going to be some kind of gun violence or something like that? One of the biggest things that most people are concerned with is it dog friendly? Now, I learned that over years of doing these videos, and I'd get questions all the time. And I noticed that was one of the number one questions I got. Do they have a lot of dog parks? Is it dog or pet friendly? Never even considered that till I started doing this channel, that people would be more concerned about, is their dog going to have a good time living in Terre Haute, Indiana? Something like it just blew me away. I've learned a lot of things about people since I've been doing this channel, and and it's kind of depressing, to tell you the truth. What I've learned about people, Americans in this country, is they're unhappy. They're not happy with the country. They're unhappy with each other. And they watch politics all the time. There's a lot of them. I shouldn't say everyone. But people are unhappy, and it's what they see and what they hear on the internet. And a lot of it has to do with political stuff. And that's fine. If you want to be political, great. It's great to be engaged in the political process and the direction of your country. You should always vote. I'm a firm believer in voting, but I'm also a firm believer that you should vote however you see fit. Again, your America is different from somebody else's America. Your idea of how things should go is going to always be different than someone else's. And you read the comments and you talk to people on the internet, and they're just so angry. And they've been fed from both sides. I'm not saying one side's worse than the other, but they've been fed that the other people that vote differently than you are a pariah and they're going to ruin the country. And it's not true. I mean, that's the same garbage that's been going on since before Kennedy, They want you to believe that the ship is going to sink unless they're at the helm. That's all there is to it. It's just, it never pans out. They always say it's going to be like that, and they get us at each other's throats. And the reason is it works for them. Plain and simple. If it works, don't fix it. They've been doing that to us for a very long time. Which, I mean, they're in a business too. It's like anyone else, and they're gonna do what they can to make sure their business keeps going. The downside is it makes a lot of Americans very unhappy. Not just the people that follow it, but the people that have to deal with it, with coworkers and family members that want to talk politics all the time. You got my son's a perfect example. You start talking politics around him, he gets up and leaves the room. Doesn't want anything to do with it. He votes how he wants to vote, and he doesn't even talk about it. Doesn't like to watch the news. He just likes to pick up that little pamphlet at the end of the year, or election time, read the pamphlet, and vote. Won't talk about it, won't discuss it, and just has no time for it. And that's how a lot of Americans are. I think, I forget the exact number. If I find it, I'll put it right here. But it's only like 30% of Americans actually follow politics when it's not like a month away from the election. It used to be a lot less, but now we're stuck with 24 hours of political news and all these different channels and websites and podcasts that it's thrown at us. And there's identity politics, which really brings a lot of people down. And that bleeds over into the channel and where people live and things like that. And that's what I've learned about the United States, that everyone's angry. And if you think about it, it's not what really is going on in the country. It's the politics that's going on in the country. I mean, we've always had high-priced houses. We've always had high-priced food. We've always had high-priced gas. I mean, I don't ever remember a year where those things weren't a complaint from someone. It's just too bad. It's like our own government is outside agitators. Our own political parties, I should say, not our government. And that's too bad. But you see a lot of that on the internet. Now, me saying that I don't like that part is true. I don't like seeing it in the chat, and I don't like seeing it in the comments. I don't like getting emails about it. But it also helps the channel. Whenever people are heated about politics, they leave more comments. Comments are part of that engagement. Again, you learn something about YouTube. Your engagement goes up, your views go up, your money goes up. That's all there is to it. And I'm not on some soapbox about politics. I don't care how you vote. I think you should just vote. However you want. However you want your America to be. That's what you need to do. So, how do you find your America? Well, the easy answer is just watch my videos. I'm eventually going to explain something that's going to make sense to you, and there you go. You're going to find where you should be. That's all there's to it. If you break down every state, I can tell you who lives there in a way. So if you want to live in the Pacific Northwest, go to Washington or Oregon or Idaho. Those are Pacific Northwest states. Washington, a little bit easier on taxes than Oregon. And Oregon's got a bunch of problems, so you should probably just go to Washington. The eastern half of both Oregon and Washington are very dry and very flat and very farmlandish. I wouldn't say it's desert, but compared to the western side of both of those states, it's a desert. It's just very dry compared to the other parts. Then Idaho, that's one of the hot spots everyone's going to. And, when you had enough of California, you head to Idaho or you head to Arizona or Texas. That's what people do. They used to head to Colorado. Idaho sort of took its place. My opinion, I think in the coming years, Wyoming's going to take the place of Idaho. Then you have all these people, again, back to the politics. They're all, well, don't come here and bring your politics with you. They don't. It's not a thing. If 20,000 people move into Idaho this year, I promise you about 15,000 of them are already going to be Republicans. That 5,000 that's moving in, there's just too many of the other side. It would take 50 years for them to switch Idaho to something else. And that would be a constant, influx of new people. What's changing a lot of situations is the younger people are switching parties or they're choosing to be independent, and it just gets down a whole rabbit hole. People don't move and change your politics. That's just a scare tactic they give you. People move and they raise the prices of your area up. I mean, California is a perfect example. California's been letting people in since the 1800s, and prices have gone up. Land's become more scarce. Homes become more scarce. So real estate prices go up. Do you think real estate prices went up on their own? No. Tons of people moved to California from Indiana, Illinois, Wisconsin, and, I don't know, the South during the 1940s and 50s. The South basically emptied out and moved to Detroit for auto jobs and California for any kind of job they can get. That's another thing. People are, all these Californians moving to my state. Your state been moving to California for decades. It's just your turn. Everything's got a pendulum. Everything's got a yin and a yang. Human beings, in my opinion, are almost like grazing animals. They go from place to place so they could survive. Just like the herds of Africa, once they've eaten all the grass in one plain, they move, 50 miles someplace else and start eating grass there. Well, it's humans do. They've been feeding off California for decades and decades, so now, things are a little sketchy there. They're moving to greener pastures. That's all there is to it. That's what the people in the South did to Detroit and California, like I said before. That's what people used to do to New York City. Matter of fact, New York City was so crowded back in the 1800s, the Oklahoma land grab. That's, they went there and got free land because they were tired of New York. Well, come around the 1940s and 30s, they decided they need to head back to New York or bigger cities to make a living because they weren't cutting it in the rural areas. So everything goes back and forth. You just happen to be living in a time right now where people are leaving California and moving to other people's states. It's how the world works. It's just their time. It's going to happen. It's going to shift in a few years, and people are going to be heading to, Nevada and just living there instead of going to Idaho or Texas. You never know who's next. My personal opinion, I think North Carolina is the next hottest migration thing, and I think that's going to go on for quite a while. And I think a sleeper one on this one that might happen is Oklahoma. Oklahoma's got a lot of land. Oklahoma's got a lot of open land and a lot of houses that can be built and are willing to be built. And it's extremely affordable. The whole state, cost of living and housing. All there is to it. Oklahoma, so that's, again, with the greener pastures thing. Part of survival in modern times is finding affordable housing. Well, if you got affordable housing, they overlook a lot of things like, tornadoes and crap that go on in Oklahoma or whatever else happens there. So I think Oklahoma is going to sneak up and be the next hotspot for people to find their America. I enjoy getting emails from people. I really do. I read a lot of them. Me or Suki do. And if it's something interesting, she gives it to me. As soon as it starts with some political thing, I just delete it. I don't have time for discussion about politics. I don't like discussing politics. I feel it's almost like religion. It's my personal business, and you have your personal business and your personal political views. Keep it to yourself. That's how I see it. But always email me. If you've got a question, email me. WorldAccordingtoBriggs.com. I'm not going to get to all of them. Right now, I think I get like anywhere from 10 to 30 emails a day. And if I miss a couple days of looking at them, so what I do is I just grab a couple and I answer them. And I do apologize. It's not like the old days when I might get an email a month where I can answer all of them. So, but if you have any questions, reach out there, or you can follow my Twitter, X, or my Instagram. Instagram seems to be the one I'm answering more questions on these days. So if you don't follow me on Instagram, please do so. I just hope on this channel and in the future, if you're trying to find your America, where you want to be, how you want to live, the things you need in your life, I hope this channel helps you find that. And I hope you get some laughs out of it, because at the end of the day, I'm just a comedian that loves this country and loves to travel. I love the small towns in this country, and I hope I can teach you about them. And in the end, keep doing this. That's all I want to do. Now, one other thing, my YouTube rep keeps telling me I should bring this up. You can join the channel and help support the channel. You can or you can't. It's nice if you can. It's like $2 a month or something like that. And that helps support the channel. There's a link for that down below that says like join or something like that. I just kind of want to talk to you guys and tell you about how things are, and I hope we all make it through whatever's going on in the country right now. At the end of the day, we just all want to be happy and safe. So I hope we can all do that together. And I hope it all works out for all of us. All right, guys. Thanks for this. And I hope I didn't shock anyone by having a totally different video. Monday, tomorrow, we'll have a normal video. See you then. Thanks.